So Texas and the High Plains.
Yeah, the High Plains.
I mean, basically, the economics of a wind farm depends on two things: how often the wind blows, pretty obviously, and how fast it blows. And a wind farm produces at maximum capacity when the wind is blowing around about 18 miles an hour. So the Texas Panhandle, some of the High Plains, the wind blows at 15 to 20 miles an hour quite a lot of the time.
Right.
So you can get favorable economics there. And in those locations, you can produce electricity for around about 3.5 cents a kilowatt hour, which is highly competitive. It's much less than gas. It's much, much less than coal. On the other hand, a wind farm here, onshore in New York, is much less efficient. The wind is less strong, it blows less of the time, and the cost here could be 8 or 9 cents a kilowatt hour. The offshore wind farms have higher winds and more stable winds, so they're more attractive for those reasons. But they also have higher capital costs. An onshore wind farm you can build for roughly $1,500 a kilowatt of capacity today. Offshore wind farms, I don't quite know, I haven't seen the quotations for the ones being built that you mentioned, but in Europe they're going for 5,000 euros, 4,000 to 5,000 euros a kilowatt of capacity, something like that. So a lot more. So it's a race. Does the extra power output from the higher winds and the more stable winds compensate for the higher capital costs? And the power output actually goes up with the cube of the wind speed. So you double the wind speed, you increase the power output by a factor of 8, at least within limits. At a certain point, it maxes out. Right. So the economics of the offshore wind farms is questionable at this point. There are very few operating in the US. Another thing in their favor is location. Most of the good wind sites in the US are a long way from demand sites. So Texas Panhandle or the High Plains, Wyoming, places like that. So you have to have a 1,000, 1,500 mile cable to bring the power to a market. If you put it 10 miles offshore off Long Island, you're into the New York market with a very short, so much.
East Hampton.
Yeah, exactly. Much lower connection costs. So it's interesting. In Europe, until very recently, offshore wind was very expensive. It was more expensive than onshore wind by a big factor. That's just changed in the last year or so. So last year, Dong Energy, Danish oil and natural gas, they put up some wind farms off the Danish coast, which are supposedly producing power at around about 6 euro cents a kilowatt hour. And that's the lowest I've seen for any offshore wind farms anywhere. If the wind farms here can produce at that kind of cost, they'll be very competitive because of the good location near to demand centers.